Now, posters of one of the Bondi Beach terrorists have been popping up in Melbourne's central business district. What's being described as a, quote, calculated and deeply offensive act. Quote, that's according to the Anti-Defamation Commission, the ADC. They're founded in Australia to combat anti-Semitism in the country. Now, approximately 40 posters were put up designed to deliberately and cynically mimic the distinctive visual style of some street art series that is promoting inclusion. This is Naveed Akram, who together with his father, Sajid, killed 15 people, wounded dozens at that Hanukkah party on Bondi Beach. That was December 14th, in case you missed that. But we have David Christopher Kaufman with us. He's the former New York Post editor and columnist and adjunct fellow at the Tel Aviv Institute. Thanks for being with us here. Look, just like with the hostages, 2 years ago that we saw Israeli hostages, posters and street art can be co-opted, for what we'll term anti-Zionism. For the clarity of this, can you give us some more insight on the tactic there and perhaps better explain to us just that format that's being mimicked?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So it once again speaks to the role of art and culture and aesthetics in this 2-year battle post October 7th. What's interesting about these posters in Australia is that they were specifically and purposely designed to mimic a style by an artist called Peter Drew, who had a series of posters celebrating diversity and inclusion in Australia, celebrating all the rainbow ethnicities that make up Australia. So these posters were chosen specifically to have a racial or ethnic implication, and then they were co-opted with the Bondi shooter in order to make a statement, basically, dismissing, dishonoring, and really negating the impact of what these two fundamentalists did in Bondi during the Hanukkah season. So it's another attempt to co-opt art, culture, and aesthetics, and do so in a way that renders the perpetrators anonymous and very hard to track.
Look, these posters, as far as I understand, in Australia at least, are illegal because they were placed on public municipal buildings, yes, property. Like what, fill us in perhaps about what can be done about this kind of thing in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, just like with the posters here in the U.S., all over the world that were torn down of the hostages 2 years ago, it's easy to sort of, in the context of all that has happened, particularly the 15 killed in Bondi, it's easy to say, well, this is not such a big deal, and do we really want to wait, invest all of these resources into dealing with this? But it's very important. It sets a precedent. And because it was a municipal building, the Australian authorities do have the power to do something. Australia, like most Western nations, is a heavily policed, heavily recorded nation. Melbourne is a city, full of cameras. So, the police department, the municipal police department in Melbourne, could devote serious resources to tracking down the perpetrators and reviewing all the hours and hours of film. Somebody did this. There absolutely is a recording of this, and there probably is chatter about this, on the dark web, on Reddit. There's definitely a record of this. The question is, will the police force devote the resources? And of course, it's very, very important that they do. Australia is dealing with extreme levels of anti-Semitism. The country has a series of bills that have been either introduced or passed to combat anti-Semitism, but it all comes down to enforcement. This has always been the issue since October 7th. Will the penalties be enforced? Will the people be forced? Will they be held accountable?